This part is for those of you who are having trouble keeping any kind of meditation practice going, or for those of you who are looking for a way into meditation that is less painful or less boring than just starting at square one. And it has only a single requirement, that in your life you have acquired one or more disciplines where you actually have to focus and concentrate your mind. And of course you have to do this often enough for my suggestions to be effective. So let me review the steps so far. First, you have to have a skill. Find an area in your life that you have mastered that requires real concentration and focus. It could be anything, but it must involve keeping your mind on it, and you must have developed some skill in this. And you must at least be neutral about it or even like it. It can't be something that you hate, because we can already hate meditating, a lot of us. Now, for me, it was photography. It was computer programming. It was writing and video editing, but it could be almost anything. The point is that whatever you have mastered, in those areas you've already paid your dues, and you've acquired the habitual skills, what's called muscle memory skills, necessary to do it. That's the hard part. In traditional meditation, there's always an object to focus on. It could be the breath, a pebble, a spot on the floor, or even nothing at all. In the method here that I'm describing, it is some skill that we have that involves focus and concentration, a skill that you've already acquired. This skill becomes the object of your meditation. And it helps if you can do this all day long, or at least often. Otherwise, you'll never get enough time in to amount to much, which is the story of many of our meditation on the cushion sessions. We can't physically put enough time in to really acquire the habit necessary to learn to truly meditate. Second point, there's a technique involved. When we are performing this skill, this thing that we do all day long, like programming, we have to take advantage. We have to be aware of when we are distracted from our concentration. When we're distracted from the task at hand and we pop out of our concentration and just are in the moment, Now, anything can pull us out of focus. As I've mentioned, the doorbell, the phone call, and so on. I've covered this in many different videos. When we're distracted from our task, we just remain aware of that fact to begin with. I'm out of it. Here I am again, not working, not concentrating. And we very gently bring our mind back to the task and let the mind rest there, and we pick up where we left off. We do this again and again and again. In fact, every time that we're knocked out of focus. It took me a couple of years. So this is not a short-term thing, but this is a sure thing. This essentially is what goes on in basic meditation. Whether we're sitting on the cushion or performing any other task that we have taken on as the object of our meditation. The only step missing from doing a meditation technique as part of our daily work is to somehow accrue some spiritual credit for our investment of time and energy. And this is also important, and it's easy to do. So this brings me to the concept of dedication. All I can say is that I've been working with Tibetan Buddhism for, I don't know, whatever it is, since 1974, seriously. I didn't get this point for a long time because I just kind of waved it off. The Rinpoches and the Lamas would always make it a super point, and I would always just say, oh yeah, whatever that is. It's what's called dedicating the merit. After we are interrupted and go back to work, and before we get back into work, if we will simply take a few moments to dedicate the merit of our practice session, which is very simple. First, what do they mean by merit? Merit is whatever that is positive that we manage to accrue, however tiny, from the task we set our mind to. When we sit on the cushion and meditate, it is whatever value or goodness we manage to generate by that meditation session. And I've never read in any Buddhist text that any action, any object of meditation, if done with the right intention and spirit, will not produce some merit. The Zen Buddhists and their things like Zen in the art of archery or Zen in the art of motorcycle maintenance, they've taught us this. It may be that the merit I produce from my meditation practice is very, very small, but even that tiny amount of merit can be dedicated. And it's the same with working through the day. My point is pretty simple. If we do any task with the right intent, merit will gather, merit will accrue, because merit is non-denominational, meaning it's not Buddhist, Christian, Muslim, or whatever. So all merit can be dedicated. So let's dedicate the merit. And I'm going to show you how the Buddhists dedicate the merit, but you can take it from there. Use your own words. If you're Christian, use Christian words. There's nothing to do with one faith or another. Anyway, to dedicate the merit, we might say something to ourselves like this. I dedicate the merit of this practice that I just did, however small it may be, to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, that they may benefit all sentient beings and bring each of them to greater awareness and happiness. Now you can vary the words infinitely, but the intent should be to benefit all beings, not just yourself, but include yourself, and help them to become more aware. Of course, you can use your own religion, dedicated to your saints, etc. You're taking what otherwise would be an ordinary activity, and by dedication to benefit all beings, putting it to a better use. So in closing, let me share a personal story with you. When I first started meditating, I didn't even have a cushion to sit on. I would use like a pillow from the bed. And my teacher, Khenpo Katar Rinpoche, gave Margaret and myself a small statue of the Buddha that he had blessed. That's all I had, and I placed it in front of where I sat. And that became like a little shrine. Not that I knew what a shrine really was, but it meant a lot to me. As the years rolled by, my meditation area got fancier and fancier. Like today I have like a big professional meditation cushion with a little cushion on top of that. Plus all of my favorite Buddhist statues here and there. I even have some hand-painted tanka paintings hanging on the wall, and so on. I know how to set the stage and even add a little ambiance. I have a candle. I have a lotus light. I even have a miniature spotlight that shines just on my Dharma text. In other words, I have all the trappings of a successful meditator. But over time, my meditation area, that's the place where I sit, has collected more than just copper and brass. It's also infested with my expectations, with all my hopes, as well as all my fears, and you name it, everything connected to meditation. And sometimes it gets so bad that I can feel myself taking on airs the moment I approach the cushion. It's like Michael, the meditator, has entered the building. All of this kind of trappings does not help meditation. I guess my point is that while formal meditation on the cushion is very important, that's where we learn the habit of meditation, there are also lots of ways to muck it up, and if there are, I always find them. Sometimes, in addition to your practice on a cushion, using these same meditation techniques, try some off the cushion, what's called post-meditation practice. You may find that off-cushion meditation has less baggage connected to you because you have already learned how to focus and concentrate on whatever object or task that you have to do, that you have in mind. But it's all important that you don't forget to dedicate the merit, either on the cushion or off the cushion. The above described method that I presented is one that I personally have used. I was surprised at how many tasks in my life I could incorporate as some form of Dharma practice. Like who's watching? It's just me. It's like a pebble dropped in a still pond. You know how the circles spread out. Well, the circle of Dharma practice also grows. And the amount of practice time I'm able to do this way is totally beyond what my on-the-cushion practice schedule ever allowed. I've written a lot about this subject, so you can check out many ebooks at just go to astrologyland.com and look for a link to all the books that I've got. That's that.